Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going? So, what am I working on now? Well, I got my neighbor's '03 Hyundai Elantra, and it developed a misfire. I mentioned that in a video where I was fixing the door handle, and I was kind of trying to chase it down, and I did figure out what it is, and I'm going to actually do the repair today. It had a misfire in cylinder 4 that would kind of come and go, but it presented itself as a soft misfire. What do I mean by that? It's like, usually if you have an ignition misfire, like the ignition wire, a coil, a spark plug, something like that, usually it's an abrupt like that. This wasn't like that. This was a softer misfire. So, not to say that it couldn't be wires and plugs, stuff like that, or a coil, but I really doubted it. But I figured, let me just cross those bridges first. So, let me just show you what we got here. So now, down on the motor itself, this has two coils. This is two separate coils here. One is for 2-3, and then one is for 1-4. So what I did was I took the one for 1-4 and I swapped each end of the coil. Now what happens is, on this design, I don't know the technical term for it, but what happens is spark will actually come out on one but return on the other. So you'll have, let's say on one, the spark is going out and it's jumping from the center electrode to the grounding strap. However, on 4, what happens is it goes from the grounding strap to the center electrode and back. It'll fire on the power stroke, basically when it has to fire it, and it'll also fire on ignition, on the exhaust stroke. So you basically, it wastes a spark, also known as a waste spark system. Except this is a little bit different than a traditional waste spark system. So what I did was I swapped 1 and 4. The misfire still came back on 4. I swapped plugs around. Misfire still came back on 4. I swapped wires around. Now, unfortunately, these wires you can't necessarily swap around because 4 happens to be the shortest wire. No other wire will reach. So I got another wire for something else, and I put that in there just to see. Same exact thing. Now, the car does run good otherwise. So it's just like, well, when it's not misfiring, it's running fine. So I doubt very highly it's a valve hanging up or anything along those lines. I seriously doubt it. So then I said, okay, let's swap injectors. So I took the injector from 4 and I put it on 1. Sure enough, the misfire moved to 1. So, okay, I know I got an injector that's hanging up or doing something stupid or not spraying correctly every once in a while. Something's wrong with injector number 1 now. Was 4, it's now 1. So we're going to swap out injectors. Let me just show you what's involved. On this car, it's actually reasonably simple. There's your injector rail down there. And like I said, that is number 1. That was on number 4 back there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the throttle cable out of the way. We're going to take these hoses out of the way. And this way I can unbolt the fuel rail and I can lift the whole thing up. So let me set you up on a tripod so you can actually watch what I'm doing. Oh, in case you guys are wondering what this is all about, I picked up one of these cover things, canopy pop-up covers from Harbor Freight, because I still haven't had a chance to get in the garage and straighten everything out so I can get cars back in there. Basically, working every day, Meg with her doctor's appointments and then me with my back issues. It's just like by the end of the day, plus it being so darn hot out, I'm in no mood. So just kind of put everything off on hold a little bit here still. I was hoping to get back onto it, but just hasn't been in the cards. So anyway, just figured I'd let you know. All right, so to start with, we're just going to unbolt the throttle cable. And we're going to just move that off to the side. I usually put all the bolts up on a cowl if I can. And then I'll tuck the cable down and out of the way. This way it's not flopping up and hitting me while I'm working. Now, let's get these tubes off of here. I'm going to disconnect, this is the map sensor. I'll disconnect that just so it's loose. Now we have all the electrical connectors too for the injectors. The nice thing about these is it ends at this injector. So I can pull the entire harness thing up out of the way. Let me go get a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm gonna need that. Basically all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the injector connectors and releasing them. So this way the harness comes up and out of the way. That's right. It's actually, I forgot, it's also bolted down. The bolts that hold the injectors themselves in place hold the harness in place. Now the harness comes up and out of the way. So now what I want to do is these tubes here, I just want to move them out of the way. With those out of the way, the rail should come straight up. You got to wiggle it a little bit. That's a song, I think. You wiggle it a little bit, and then the whole rail will come up. Now, if you look closely here, you can see I got transmission assembly gel on the end of the injectors, because basically, like I said, I swapped them around once already. So now you got to take these clips off here, and these clips are reasonably simple. You just pry out the ends like so, and then this comes off. Okay, there, and the injector actually fell out. And as you saw, you get fuel out of there. There's nothing you can do about that unless you drain back the system. Really no point. You're just going to lose a little bit of fuel. Just be mindful of it, because you don't want to do that on a hot motor and then possibly create a fire. So put that there. Got a new Beck-Arnley injector. Now, here's the weird thing. Trying to find an injector for this, nobody local had one, so I had to wait for it. Yes, you can buy injectors on like Amazon or whatever, and you can get all 4 of them for like 75 bucks. I think this one was actually $90. What's the quality of what you're getting if you're getting all 4 for $75 when you can buy a quality one, just a single, for $90? Just think about that for a minute before you answer. Because I've seen it happen all too often, where people will get, oh, I bought all 4 for X amount of money, where it cost just 1 from the parts store. Well, yeah, there's a reason for that, and I can't tell you how often I've seen it. So, just something to be mindful of, because I've seen injectors and coils and all sorts of stuff that you get cheap on, be it Amazon or eBay or whoever. Yeah, there's a reason for that. So, I've seen too many problems created by it. So anyway, we got the single injector here. Oh, and the funny thing too that I was going to say is, to buy a reman injector was double the price. Why? I have no idea. I'd rather get a brand new Beck-Arnley. So, all right, let's get this installed. Now, one thing interesting I want to show you, the Beck-Arnley box, open it up. This is what you get. It's a factory injector. So, I was already handling it. Now we're going to take a little bit of transmission assembly gel, this stuff here, and you put it on the O-rings for the injector. Now, be mindful, when you do stuff like this, you will wind up with a misfire for a short period of time. Until this, because whatever gets in the fuel system and passes through the injector will create a misfire. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt anything, but that's just something to keep in mind. So if you're doing all your injectors and you do this, and all of a sudden you go to start it up and it's stumbling like crazy for a few seconds, you know why. All right. So we get the injector up in place, and I got to put this lock clip back in place. Now the injector does not bottom out. The injector actually hangs out slightly. Just like that, and it locks it in place. So now let me show you this real quick so you can actually see what I'm trying to tell you. So there you see the injectors are just hanging out outside their bore. See that? So now you grab the whole rail and you just push it in like that. All right, so now we're all in place. Now we can reverse procedure to install. It's already installed, but you know what I mean. Put the old injector to the side. Just cover up my assembly gel, because this is actually a brand new tub and I don't want to get junk inside of it. All right, so now we're going to put the wiring harness down in place. And start connecting connectors. I don't know if you can hear it click or not. Listen for the click. Listen for the click. And listen for the click. All right. Same with the map. All right. So now, put the bolts in place. I hold the wiring harness to the rail and the rail to the intake manifold. I'm going to show you a little trick with another video for holding on to things when you're trying to install them. Now the mounts just bottom out. It's not like they put pressure on the injector itself. The injectors are still relatively free floating in there. Let me show you that real quick. See how it all moves? So that's how it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to be tight. Some vehicles, yes. This one, no. Many vehicles, no. All right, let's put those tubes back in place. Be mindful of your tubes too, what end went where, because sometimes, because of the shape of it, you can put it on backwards, and then you realize once you have it on that something's interfering, something's hitting. This one you can't put on backwards because one end is bigger than the other. All right. That counts for hoses and stuff like that too, so just, like I said, something to keep in mind. Make sure I got all my wires down like they're supposed to be, since I had that apart before. So that's all good. All right, let me put this stuff away, and then let's go grab a scanner and let's take a look and see what we got. Okay, while the scanner is powering up, let's start it. This chime will stop if I have the door open. Alright, let's see. Intelligent diagnose. I don't remember with this scanner if I have to go the other way. New function available. We're not going to update right now. I'm going to skip that. Okay. So maybe it's not that, maybe it's local diagnose. I can never remember. I have a couple different scanners. They're all different. Okay, so man, it's hot in this car. Hyundai. Turn the AC on. I fixed this AC, so at least I know it works. Of course, this has updates too, so hopefully it doesn't want to do it right now. All right, let me get to the screens I got to get to, and we're going to go from there. All right, so here we are. This is the code that it was setting, P0301. So we are going to clear this out of it. I'm going to go back. Clear fault code, I think. Yeah, the engine's got to be off in these. Now, these are old. This is an 03. So if what I went to say is, on an 03, I can't view misfires. It's not available. It's not because of the scanner, it's because of the vehicle. The vehicle doesn't give you the information. Battery sounds weak in this car too, but it always starts. And I can tell you right now, it's so much smoother than it was before. Before it ran okay, but it just wasn't smooth. Now it's smooth. So I could get this thing to throw a check engine light just going down the street and coming back. So I'm going to close this thing up, close the trunk, close the hood, and I'm going to take it for a ride up the street, and let's see what it does. Yeah, so I mean, it drives fine. It drives perfect. It's definitely running way smoother than before. So even though before it would set that misfire code, it was like, not that it was misfiring all the time, or not even that it was running so badly that it would set the code quickly. Sometimes it took a long time to set it, but I can definitely feel the difference in the way the car is driving right now. It runs great. Considering it's an 03 and it's got 191,000 miles on it, this car runs great. So, all right, let's, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually park this thing for a short period of time and then come back to it and start it up again and see what's going on, just to verify that everything's fine. I'm confident this was it. Like I said, it would set it on 4 almost, not immediately, but on the first road test, it would usually set it. And then as soon as I swapped it to 1 and took it for a road test, came back then and set it on 1. So as soon as I pull on the driveway, we're just going to recheck this and see if anything showed up. All right, so back at the house, no trouble codes. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna let this thing sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back to it and try it again, just another road test, just to verify. But I am confident this is fixed. So, all right, let's roll the windows down because, like I said, it's like 90 degrees here today, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. So, all right, let's get back to this in a little bit. So I'm back in it. It's actually an hour later. I let it cool down, and got no trouble codes. See there. So up and running. Just going to take it up the street again and make sure everything's good. Let's go. So yeah, going up the road, it's nice and smooth. Motor runs great. All right, we're going to leave it at that. I can give it back to him. He'll be happy. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.